Done well, you are going to experience more freedom, growth, and impact. But getting it wrong could cost you thousands of dollars. That's why in this video, we are going to cover how to know when you're ready to hire, who to hire first, and best practices. The hardest part, in my opinion, is deciding when you're actually ready to make your hire. Unfortunately, there's no magic genie that pops out of a lamp to tell you it's time. But actually, thank goodness, because that would be terrifying. Good news is you can just look for these signs. Sign number 1, your monthly income is super consistent. So there's no doubt you're still gonna be able to pay all your bills. There are different schools of thought on this, but from my personal experience, I am super risk averse and I don't want the stress of worrying about potentially running negative. So I'm personally willing to put in more time or work to get to a certain point first before I make that hire. Sign number 2 is less exciting, but it's possibly an even bigger indicator that you are ready. You've had a moment, a lot of moments, where you break down because you're thinking, I just cannot do this on my own anymore. That was the thinking that actually got me to make my first ongoing hire. It was right before a big launch that I knew was gonna bring in a lot of clients. But even the thought of handling all that customer support on my own had me shutting down. When you're at this point, you might find yourself wondering, I could still do it. But a better question to be asking is this worth my time? Because the reality is, the ultimate goal of your business is to support you in operating in your zone of genius as much of the time as possible. The more effectively you can outsource to allow you to do more of that, the faster your business will grow. And ultimately, probably even more importantly, the more you'll actually enjoy your business. But the takeaway here is not, if you fit these signs, you gotta go and hire someone right now. Please hear this. There is nothing wrong with taking your time. In fact, I passed over $200,000 in sales before making that first hire. Use these as guidelines. But this is your business on your timeline, and nobody knows what's right for your business more than you. But even when you are ready to hire, you gotta be careful who you hire. One of the most common mistakes I see people make is their mentality. They hire for a position that they think will help them grow the business, like a copywriter or a social media manager, with the thinking, they will help me grow my business. But unfortunately, that is just not how it works. For context, it usually takes around 5 years for someone to be considered even a semi-experienced digital marketer. That is a lot of time and experience, which translates into a higher salary, which most of the time a smaller new business cannot afford. And on the off chance you find someone willing to do it for cheaper, it's usually because they don't know what they're doing anyways. The solution can be hard to stomach, but it will pay off for you infinitely in the long run. You have to learn how to grow your business first, like your marketing and your sales. Doing this is how you'll be able to grow to the point where eventually you can outsource. Plus, let's be honest, nobody is gonna know your audience or care more about your business than you. But this does not mean you can't get to a point where you outsource, frankly, anything and everything you want. Don't worry, you're not gonna be running around like a chicken with its head cut off. Our goal is for you to be enjoying your business and your life. And here's how you're gonna get to that. Your first hires should free you from doing things that don't require a lot of specialized knowledge about your work or your brand. That's why my own first ever hire was a site designer. I was still hands-on with the design of my brand, but I wanted an expert to make sure that my website looked and worked as best as it could. Plus, let me tell you, my husband, Steven, was super happy that I was no longer staying up until 4 a.m. trying to get the spacing on my pop-up just right. My next hire, which was technically my first ongoing hire, followed the same school of thought. Outsourcing customer support freed me up to do the things that only I could do at that point, marketing and delivering, which also grew the business so that I could afford to continue to build my dream team. But I don't want you to feel like you have to follow my exact timeline or plan. That's why we're gonna go over the Grow, Freedom, Impact formula to help you figure out the best way to build your dream team in the way that works best for you. Let's start with grow. Because at this point, you have built your business as much as you can or you want to on your own. Now it's about you building a team that grows the business with you. High five to that. Take the channel you are watching this video on. For years, I ran it completely by myself. But not too long ago, I finally brought on a YouTube producer, Abby, to help me manage the big picture. Her job is to examine the content and make sure the videos get produced and published. My job, and when you hire someone, this also becomes your job, is to help Abby grow into the role. When she grows, the channel grows, and I have more room to grow into other areas of the business. But you might think, ugh, having to find and then train someone, it'll just slow me down. It's gonna be so much faster just to do everything myself. Guess what? That is true. Initially, hiring someone will slow you down. In fact, onboarding Abby took months, and even now, it's still an ongoing process coaching her to think and communicate along the same lines of how I think and communicate. It's not easy to entrust your brand, your baby, to someone else. But think about it like this. And I'm gonna be a little corny right now and bring up the turtle and the hare story. Being the quick rabbit will get you going fast. However, you will burn out because as a human being, you only have so much time and energy. So let's be like the trusty old turtle who slowed down to speed up and ultimately won the race. Plus, and I'm not being mean when I say this because it's true for me too, you are not the best at everything in your business. That's why step 1 in the formula is to optimize for growth by releasing control and finding people who are better than you. My personal checklist when I'm hiring is they care about producing high quality work. They're self-driven and they love the challenge of figuring out how to grow. That criteria has helped me create a team of people who are always focused on getting better and better because they actually care about the quality of their work and creating true value. When we get a 1 of 10 video on YouTube, I know the whole team is cheering with me. Next in your formula is the freedom piece. Creating a business that fulfills what freedom means to you. For me, a huge part of that means having the freedom to only work with the people I like. That might sound like a duh, Luisa moment, but unfortunately, this was not that obvious to me early on when I learned this lesson the hard way. One of my first 5 hires, so this was really early on, was a team to help me create a video marketing series. When I got the videos back, it looked like I was wearing clown makeup and had somehow decided to film in a dark alley behind a pile of garbage. And it wasn't like I just hired my friend's cousin's neighbor's business either. I'd paid a few $1,000s for these so-called experts. Every mentor I asked about the situation told me, fire them and do not pay them a single penny more. But there was a part of me that was afraid of coming across as a bad person if I did that. Plus, I was so scared of confrontation back then. So I kept on paying them for far longer than I should have. But I learned what I needed because I never want to feel icky about the people on my team ever again. To help you build your dream team, here are some best practices. And I'm bringing in the imagery of that turtle again. First, start slow. Do a contained test project so that you can ease into that relationship. But as soon as you realize it's not a good relationship, then you can channel your inner rabbit and fire fast. Don't be like me, literally crying over the phone about the horrendous work and still handing over lots of money. I know it is expensive to hire and train, but once you have the right people, it is so worth it. For example, most of the people on my team have been with me for years. In fact, my longest person has been with me for 9 years. And that is one of the things I am most proud of in my business. I like to think about it kind of like marriage. Once you're committed, you are in it, and you want to look for ways to continue growing together. That's why taking your sweet time to make sure that your hire is aligned with your values, goals, and priorities is so important. But not only are you using these best practices to create freedom for you, you're also using it to create the best environment for your team. Yes, freedom of time is important, and that's definitely a bonus of everyone I work with. But just as important is freedom of money. Pay your people well. I may have a 7-figure business, but a large part of it does not go into my pocket because I'm supporting my amazing team too. I have single moms on the team, people who want to be moms, and people managing their own businesses and teams. And that is not a responsibility that you can take lightly. In fact, in the earlier years, when we were in growth mode, there were times when I didn't even pay myself, but I've never missed a paycheck, and my team always gets paid before I do. Not only is this the ethical thing to do, of course, but when your team knows you've got their back, guess what? They will have yours too. This creates a team that is in it with you versus being driven by you. Which means everyone can focus on the most important thing your business can do, creating more impact by helping more people and doing it better. But if you're not at the hiring point yet, there is something else you can do to level up your business right now. In fact, it's a strategy that billionaires like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos have used to grow their multi-billion-dollar businesses. I'll walk you through how to use it to grow your business in this next video.